Chosen one, I know a secret about your future you won't believe, but it's true. This information could change everything, giving you a reward beyond your wildest dreams. You absolutely cannot skip this. After a while, there is a certain kind of quiet that settles in. It's not quiet because there is nothing, but because something is getting ready. It's been longer than you thought it would. The thing you were told was coming hasn't shown up yet, and you've been holding on to a promise you can't see in your daily life. This message was sent just for you today. You heard God not first through this message, but through all the times in your life since you began to wait. This is the message. Please wait a little longer. Not because what was promised is being held up for no reason. This is because the thing that is being prepared for you can't come until all the work is done, and the getting ready is almost done. Almost complete might sound great to someone who has been waiting for 6 months, because they've heard that before, felt like the big moment was close and seen it. I know that what I said will have various effects on various individuals. Not happen when they thought it will. The person who has been waiting for 6 years might feel a more mixed way. You shouldn't be happy about those 2 words until I explain what I mean. I want you to listen to this message all the way through, so I can show you the exact signs that the time is changing. You can find these signs in your everyday life if you know where to look. Let's talk about how to make a surprise. It's not a small surprise. Not the kind that appears out of nowhere and doesn't really alter anything. What I mean is the kind of surprise that was quietly put together over time. Using your wait time to make something that fits who you are and what you're ready for. There's a special way to set up that kind of surprise. There needs to be time, not just any time because of a delay. It needs the exact amount of time needed to bring together the right people, the right situations, your own readiness, and the right conditions outside of you. There comes a time when all 4 of those things must come together for the surprise to fully appear. It takes longer for someone to understand this kind of surprise because one or more of those 4 things is still on its way to the meeting point. It's not about being forgotten while you wait. Things are getting worse while we wait. Someone who knows this about their wait time deals with it differently than someone who only knows it as a delay. For those who get it, the length of time they wait doesn't show how far away they are from the promise. It has to do with how hard the preparation is. It doesn't take long to put together an easy surprise. If you want a surprise that fits who you are, what you're ready for and will make you laugh. It takes longer, your face, I'll come back to that. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission grows into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. But more than your support, we want your presence. When you head to our community through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you aren't just visiting a site. This is a sanctuary where you can post your prayer requests, lift up the burdens of others, and engage in daily discussions with a family that speaks the language of. You are entering a community of like-minded believers. Faith. Whether you are joining one of our membership tiers for deeper study, sowing a seed of faith, or simply joining our daily morning prayers, you are helping us build a global altar of worship. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through a community that stands together. Each gift you give acts as living water for those in our community seeking healing and hope. Give and it will be given to you is the promise that sustains our shared mission. I invite you now to step out of the shadows and into this circle of prayer. Come with purpose, join the conversation, and plant your seed in fertile ground. Let's open the heavens together. Release your seed today. Join our community and see what God brings back into your life. First, though, I need to show you something about this time you're in. Not many people think about what God does while they wait, but that's what He's been doing for you. When people have to wait a long time, they usually think one of three things. The first thing that comes to mind is that they did something wrong and the delay is a punishment. One thing ties all three of those ideas together. They all say that the person is waiting because of something they did or didn't do or because of something that isn't good enough about them. This thing needs to be fixed before the promise can come true. I'm going to show you why all three of those ideas are wrong. I want to show you what's really going on. There is no way that any of those three ideas can describe what is happening. How you feel about the waiting will change now that you know the difference. You should think of a long time of waiting as a sign that you were chosen. The waiting has nothing to do with what you did or didn't do. It has to do with getting you ready to deal with things. You won't just get any job when you get home from the surprise because you are changing into a different person while you wait. This job is designed for you. The waiting won't end until that part of you is whole enough to do the job without getting crushed by it. I have to talk about your face now because the title of this message specifically mentioned it. That wasn't just a choice of words or a fancy phrase. Face is the body part that changes the most. When you finally let go of something you've been holding onto for a long time, your face shows how you felt at that time. Long waits make you feel heavy in ways that the person who is carrying them often can't see in themselves, but can see clearly in those around them. How you feel on the inside shows on the outside in your face. Things that God is about to change aren't just yours. Your face will change because of the change in your life. That exact look on your face while you've been waiting, that constant tension, that careful hope, that watching for something that hasn't come yet. Change that look with something new that the people you love have been waiting to see on your face, either for the first time or again. The exact words God used in the message I'm giving you today aren't just about the change either. They're about how shocking the change was. It's not like any other word. Even if you've been holding on to the hope, the way it comes will be so unexpected that it will make you feel a special kind of joy that everyone in the when this word is used, it means that the change will happen when, how, and in a way that you didn't fully expect. Room can see it on your face. I want to talk about what's been going on during the wait. Since the wait hasn't been empty for the past few months, you've been going through something inside that you couldn't see as growth. The growth will be very clear when the surprise comes and you look back at the time it was being built. The hardest thing about waiting is that growth processes don't say they're growth while they're happening. They feel like wait times. They feel like they are being forgotten. Since you can't see the growth signs from inside the process, they make you think that the promise wasn't real. You can only see how much you've grown when you look back. As you change, you can't see what changing into change the time and look back at where you were. Only then can you see what you have become. You're almost ready for the time to change. You're not just feeling close to each other. It's a real truth about what has been building up inside you while you've been waiting. During this time of waiting, I want to show you something that you might not have known was building up inside you. A calling level wait time is unique. because it makes the person waiting feel things that can't be made any other way. These are the things that the person being trained for needs in order for the job to do its job. One of the first things you learn is how to keep hoping even when there aren't any clear signs. This skill isn't common. A lot of people can hope when they have strong evidence. When you wait, you grow, and that growth gives you the much rarer ability to hope. When there are no signs, when the only thing that keeps the hope alive is the truth of the first promise, and the proof hasn't come yet. That skill isn't something that comes naturally to someone. This is something that was put inside you when you kept a promise during a long quiet time. A better understanding of what is real and what is just business is the second thing that has been put into you during wait times. Things that look like they'd be useful, but aren't related to the job are taken away. When someone gets out of a long wait, they know what's important. No amount of activity can bring about that clarity. It can only be made by waiting. You already have both of these things. And the surprise needs you to carry them with you into the next time. Here is specific proof that the time is changing. I promised earlier that I would show you proof instead of just telling you nice things to make you feel better. That's what I meant. There is a pattern to proof that time is changing, and I want to talk about it, so you can see it in your own life. One of the first signs that a wait time is over is when things get harder instead of easier. Unlike what you'd think, this is the case. This is why many chosen ones give up in the last few weeks of their waiting time. It doesn't feel like the end. It seems like everything that was hard about the wait is getting worse. The other side gets stronger. The pressure inside goes up, right? When the promise is about to come true, the desire to believe that it wasn't real is at its strongest. There's no chance in this. It's how times that were promised change. It gets harder at the change because the change is a boundary. And boundaries naturally make things hard because they mark the line between what was and what will be. If there's been more stress or opposition lately, that's not proof that the promise didn't work. You are seeing proof that the edge is getting close. This is something I want to talk about for a while longer, because it's a big reason why chosen ones give up when all they needed to do was keep going. There are a lot of situations where the difficulty gets worse at the boundary. Stories of people who have been through long wait times and made it through them all say the same thing. Every time they think back to the time before the change, they all agree that the hardest part was right before the big breakthrough. The person who doesn't know this pattern thinks that the harder level is a loss. They decide that the hard times show that the promise was false, that they aren't ready for what they wanted, or that the chance is gone. During this time of more trouble, all three of those conclusions make perfect sense. They're all wrong in some way. The harder level is the last test, not a punishment. It is a test. That question is whether the increase in the wait time made people more persistent in a way that the job on the other side needs. You got to this message at this time. That alone shows that the test answer is yes. The second sign is a certain kind of knowing that you can't explain. I'm not just talking about being happy or positive. I'm going to say something more specific. A calm awareness that someone feels as they get close to the end of a waiting period, often before they can see any changes in the outside world. Without words. That makes it very clear that something is different from what it was. That the way the air feels has changed, that thing is moving now, that it wasn't moving before. Were you really sure of something recently, even if it was only for a short time? Or in a way you weren't sure how to explain to someone else? It was like you were sensing things in a way that only the chosen one can develop after a long time of waiting. The skill of being able to sense something before you can see it. Some good things come from having to wait. The fact that you are reading these words right now is proof of how soon the time will change. The third sign is letting go of things you've been holding on to tightly for a long time. This could be in your relationships, in how you see yourself, or in the ways you're dealing with the weight of the waiting. When you're nearing the end of your wait, you often feel softer. These three signs don't happen one after the other. They fit together because they show the same big change in different ways. You are in the middle of the reorganization. If you are going through 2 or 3 of them right now, it's not going to change. It has already started. I want to tell you more about what's waiting for you because the message I'm carrying says surprise is waiting, and I want you to know what kind of surprise it is. It's not a surprise that doesn't care about what you've been going through because of what you've been through. The waiting time itself, the specific patience that was learned, the specific clarity that was gained, and the specific ability to hold on to hope when things. It's a surprise. We're quiet. All of that stuff has been used to make what's coming. The surprise fits who you are. Because of this, it will change your face. Because it will come with the exact shape of everything you were waiting for put together in the exact way that your time. Because it was made with the growth you went through while you were waiting. Made it. You won't be able to say the questions you've had for so long because you were afraid of being judged. The face that has been holding the tension of those unspoken questions will finally be able to let go when that time comes. That phrase has been said over people who are waiting by people who meant well but couldn't tell the difference between a word that meant on time and word that. That phrase, wait a little longer, has been used before, which is what many of you thought when I said it. Meant comfortably late. And the person who was chosen after a long wait has learned to tell the difference between those two types of words. Even though they sound the same, what the word tells you to do with the waiting is what makes it different. A word of comfortable delay tells you to wait a little longer and urges you to keep going. It doesn't really say anything. Keep putting up with a problem that won't go away because there's no way to change things. When you hear a word of real timing, it means wait a little longer and gives you a reason to wait that you can use. It lets you know what the waiting is making. It tells you what to look for to prove that the time has changed while you wait. It gives you something to do besides just waiting. This is the second type of message. The waiting isn't going on for no reason. It's planning with a clear goal in mind. You will be fully ready to handle what is about to come in a way that will change your face, and the faces of those who have been watching you handle the waiting. If any of the things I talked about are happening in your life right now, if things are getting harder and you now see that as a sign that the threshold is close. Instead of a sign that you've failed, type in the comments, type still believing if you have been waiting longer than you thought you would. And read the names below it. This is because the chosen one who is nearing the end of a waiting period is rarely with other people who understand what they are going through. And something happens when the person waiting realizes that they are in the last few minutes of the line with other people who are also in their last few. The people who hang out in the comments know what it's like to be waiting from the inside. Minutes. Seeing that the change is happening at the same time in a group of chosen people is itself a sign. Don't leave this message As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pin comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of. It is a sign from God, our co-community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself. Jesus says this is not history. It is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. Most people who are still waiting have never heard this part of the story explained in a way that makes sense of how long their wait has been. This is the part about why the wait has been this long and what has been going on the other side of the silence. People who have to wait for a long time have never been told this about the quiet on the other side. There's no need to do nothing during the quiet. Being ready for something makes a quiet sound when it can't be seen yet without messing up. What is being ready for? It's not possible to show part of the building when a surprise is being carefully put together to fit your personality. It's important that the building stays hidden until it's finished, so that a custom-fit surprise feels like a surprise instead of something you saw coming. In this case, the chosen one must understand that not seeing proof does not mean that nothing is happening. Just because you can't see the preparation doesn't mean it isn't going on. It means that the preparation is being done in such great detail that it needs to be kept secret. I want to talk about the specifics of hiding during your waiting time because the chosen one who has been waiting for a long time often forms a relationship with silence that is worth examining and more. Until it's done, which is soon. Detail. The quiet is annoying at the beginning of a wait, but it's not too bad. The promise is still close enough to the person that the new memory keeps their faith strong. But as the time goes on, the silence feels more like the permanent silence of something that has ended than like something that is still going on. The next test is to see if the person will still believe what was promised even though there are no signs to back it up. The last stage of growth takes place between keeping the promise when it's confirmed and not keeping it when it's not confirmed. That test has been passed because you are still here, still reaching out and still listening. The silence wasn't because they were forgetful. It was just the right place for the final growth. There has been enough growth now for the surprise to come. Rather than just telling you an inspiring story, I want to show you a pattern that has been seen over and over again in the lives of chosen people for hundreds of. I want to talk about someone in the old text who was waiting in the way I've been describing. Years. Your current situation is an example of this pattern. The person I'm talking about didn't just get a vague promise that things would get better. There was no doubt that she had been given a specific promise about a specific thing at a specific time in clear language. Then she waited for a long time, long after it seemed biologically and practically possible that the promise could still be kept during that time. More and more evidence grew against the possibility that the promise could still be kept. Then a certain phrase in the text tells us what happened. She laughed. No, it wasn't a happy laugh at first. It was the body's response to the moment when something that had seemed impossible for a long time became real. The sound of laughter was the exact sound of a face changing. The release of the tension that had been building for decades in a single moment of arrival. The message I'm sending you today says, a surprise is waiting for you. The surprise will be the same as what that person got. There is a certain kind of joy that comes when something that seemed impossible becomes real all of a sudden. The laughter that changes the face. Now I need to talk about a certain way of receiving that will show you if what is being prepared can fully arrive when the time changes. Because the surprise that is being made for you is being made for a certain receiver. And the receiver's quality has a huge impact on what happens when the surprise arrives. I want to talk about something more specific that was looked at in a lab by a researcher who wanted to know how well we can understand things when we think about them in a way is very different from how the usual way that phrase is used is not what I mean when I talk about spiritual readiness. We usually do. People today are more likely than ever to have a certain brain condition. Cross interference is the name for it. This is a state in which the logical and emotional parts of the brain are not working together, but against each other. And it has a certain effect that is important to you right now while you're waiting. It makes it harder to fully receive and hold on to important events and experiences like breakthroughs and the arrival of things that were promised. Someone who is cross interference can be there. When the surprise takes place, it's clear to them. That's the first thing they can feel. They might not fully grasp it, take it in as deeply as it needs to be taken in, or let it do all the work of changing what it was meant to change. Because the receiver wasn't working right at the right time. Why am I telling you this? Because the surprise I have planned for you is too important to only get part of. And I'm telling you this because the researcher I talked about, Dr. Daniel Barron, worked on a specific way to get back full reception ability for almost 20 years. A method that you can start using today before the surprise comes so that when it does you are fully in sync with it and can fully enjoy it. The method is called the Genius Switch, and it works by getting the analytical and intuitive parts of your brain to work together again. That coordination is what lets the surprise hit with full force instead of the less force that cross interference lets it hit with. I'll talk about this in more depth in a moment, but I want you to hear it now, because the time you have to wait gives you the unique gift of time to get ready before the arrival, and you can start. The link to get to it is in the text below. Getting ready today. I need to talk directly to the chosen one who felt disappointed when they heard that something needed to be fixed or prepared in them before they could fully enjoy the surprise. It's like there's always one more thing to fix or condition to meet before the promise can come true. Which is not what I mean. The surprise will happen no matter what you do. It doesn't depend on how good your reception is when it comes. What I mean is that how well you take in the surprise determines how much of it changes you and how long those changes last. It's clear that they will arrive. Is the receiver ready to let it land at the full depth it was made to reach? That's the question. This is a big difference because there has already been too much conditional language in the waiting time. Enough of if you do this, then that will happen. God's surprise isn't based on how well you do that you can fully receive it. Let it change your face and keep it changed and really take in the arrival at the level it was meant to reach. How does it look to fully get that surprise, not just as an idea, but in the real life of the person who has been waiting and who is ready to go when the you can actively work on getting that skill. Arrival time comes. When someone gets a surprise, Someone in fully synchronized state has a different experience than when someone gets a surprise in cross-interference. Cross-interference happens when someone feels the emotional impact and initial relief of a moment. But in the days that follow, they realize that the change they hoped for wasn't quite as deep as the moment made it seem. Only part of the transformation has happened. The face changes and then it slowly goes back to how it was. When someone gets a surprise while being fully in sync, they experience the moment at its fullest. It has a bigger and longer-lasting effect on your emotions. The big changes that the surprise was meant to bring about can happen because the receiver is working at the right level. Right now the face changes and stays different because the change was deeply ingrained and not just felt. Yes, that is the difference, and you can enjoy that difference starting today. While you wait for the surprise in his research, Dr. Daniel Barron found things that didn't begin with spirituality or calling. He wanted to know why some people process important information. Information that comes at a key time and has a lot of personal meaning for them in ways that change them for good. While for others, the change wears off after a few days or weeks. The common thought was that people who kept the change longer were just more disciplined and motivated. According to his research, motivation wasn't the most important thing. The receiver's brain state at the time of the important experience was the most important factor. That is, they wanted to know if the analytical and intuitive processing systems were working together or against each other. Most people live in a world where these two systems are always working against each other. When this happens, important experiences are only partially processed. Even though the emotional effects are over, the deep integration that makes the changes last doesn't end. It is a real experience. The amount of change it makes is lessened. Dr. Barron called this condition cross-interference. And the things that make it happen are things that almost everyone in the modern world is exposed to every day. Broken attention, lots of unimportant information, mild stress all the time, and having to switch between tasks and things you're looking at all the time. The brain is trained to move from a state of coordination to a state of competition by all of these things. Since this happens, the receiver is there when important things come in, but isn't fully prepared to hold them. It's possible for the person who has been waiting and doing everything they can to stay ready. Prayers, being patient, and active preparations to still be in a state when the surprise comes they can't fully take it in. It's not because they failed spiritually, but because of a change in their brains caused by the place they lived while they were waiting. I want to be clear about what I mean when I say that the receiver can't fully understand what comes in. This may sound vague, which makes it easy to agree with and then forget. To help you understand what I mean, let me describe partially integrated things in real life. There have been times in your life when something big happened. A door opened. It looked like the two people were meant to be together. Someone said something to you that felt completely true. And the whole feeling was there at all of those times. After a few days or weeks, the full feeling went away. It wasn't because the event wasn't important, but because you didn't fully fit it in. The analytical and intuitive systems were never able to fully figure out what the information meant. Meaning didn't become part of how you think, move, and carry yourself. It stayed on the surface. That's cross-interference when it comes to important arrivals. When something comes in, the genius switch makes sure that it fully lands and integrates, changing the structure instead of just the surface, changing the face and And the method that Dr. Barron came up with stops it from happening before the surprise cometh. Keeping it changed. This is fixed in the Genius Switch by Dr. Daniel Barron. A certain set of thoughts and sensory inputs always leads to the coordinated state in just a few minutes. Snorts, you don't need to have a certain background, level of education, or set of beliefs to use this method. It needs to be consistent. If you do it every day, it will make being in sync the norm for you instead of something special. Here are some things that people who have used the Genius Switch have said about getting something they had been waiting for. There was someone who had been waiting for a certain kind of healing in a relationship that had been broken for years. She wasn't ready for how quickly and completely she got better. What a second person said about the experience. He had been waiting for money for a longer time than he thought it would when it started. He finally had the breakthrough he had been waiting for. And he talked about how he was able to hold on to the reality of the change without going back to the old ways of thinking that were common. While he was waiting, he said that the change felt like it was a part of all of life, not just a visit. This wasn't because his circumstances were different, though they were, but because he was dealing with what had come up in a way that was different from how he. In the weeks that followed, he said that his face looked different to people who had known him while they were waiting, had dealt with other times of change. Colleagues of Dr. Barron said that the Genius Switch would be a great deal at $500 in terms of how it works. Neurofeedback sessions that take place in person cost $300 an hour. Neurofeedback equipment for the home costs $7 million. The method cost on $49 when it came out today. An extra 10 off this page, making it $39. Plus 4 free extras when you check out a guided visualization from a top home creator. A grocery guide listing 10 common foods that cause brain fog along with 5 ways to save over $100 a month. A manifestation text from more than 100 years ago that most modern practice in this area is based on, and a printable 5 habits infographic. The whole package comes with a money-back guarantee that doesn't matter what, not a problem. The arrangement God made moves through a receiver that isn't working at its full potential every week that the synchronization stays broken. It's not because the arrangement is broken, but because the depth of reception determines the depth of arrival. You should give your all to what's coming. One thing that needs to be named right away. You will find things if you look for things with similar names in other places. They were looked at by Dr. Barron's team. Most of them didn't have any kind of clinical neural synchronization method built in. How it works is what makes the difference, and Dr. Barron's team is the only ones who made it. This page, which is linked in the comment below, and below it is the only source for the real method that has been checked out. There is a link to the program in both the story and the comment that was pinned. What's coming needs someone who is ready to receive it. I'm going to answer the question that some of you have right now. What if the surprise isn't the exact thing I've been waiting for? That's the question. What if the work I've been doing to get ready is for something I don't fully understand yet? That is a good question. What is the answer? The surprise that God plans is almost never exactly what the person who was waiting thought it would be. If someone has been waiting for healing in a relationship, they find that it comes with a level of understanding that wasn't there in the relationship before that. It fits better, is more specific, and has more parts than the person waiting thought it would have. Breakup. Someone who has been waiting for provision finds that what comes has a level of stability that was higher than what they had before. The wait The answer that came as a surprise is better than the one that was expected. It was made from the time you had to wait. And the time you had to wait gave you the ability to carry a fuller version of the answer than you could have gotten before the waiting. Your look will change, not into the face of someone whose hoped for hope came true, but into the face of someone whose surprise was greater than their hope. Before I end this message, I want to talk about 3 special people, 3 types of chosen ones who are getting it today. As the shape of what you've been waiting for changes, so does the form of the waiting time. It's important that this word lands in the version of your experience that is really yours. There is the first person whom I will call the long waiter, who has been through so many cycles of feeling good and bad that hearing that the surprise is close makes them react carefully, not with disbelief, but with. This is the chosen one who has been in the waiting time for so long that the promise seems far away. Careful management of hope, keeping their core belief safe from the risk of another cycle ending without the arrival. To the long waiter, I want to say this straight out. The length of the wait doesn't change the truth about what's going to happen. It shows how big the thing being built is. The arrivals that fit the criteria, the best come after the longest wait times on record. These are not smaller arrivals, but larger ones. The fitting takes time, and the time it took really wasn't wasted. It was how much the fitting cost. What's coming your way is worth all the time it took to get here. Next is the person I'll call the face about to change. This is the chosen one who knew right away what look waiting makes someone have when they are told what that look is. Who has been told by a close friend or family member that they look tired or like their eyes are holding something heavy. Who has seen an old picture of themselves and noticed a difference between it and a new one to the face that is about to change. I want to say this, the look on your face right now is temporary. It's the outside record of the time. The time is also changing as we wait. The people who have been watching your face will soon notice a change that will make them ask what changed. They will notice it before you do. People watching can tell what time it is by looking at you. Even before you fully feel it yourself, things are going to change. It's closer than what you can see right now. The third person is the chosen one who will be on the other side of this word. I'll call them the surprise received. Who will get what is being built and be able to look back on it and fully understand it in a way that isn't possible from inside it yet. Who will be the person who tells someone else? Snorts maybe much sooner than they expect what the wait was like and what the surprise was like. As a surprise, I'd like to tell you that what you're about to receive wasn't made for any chosen one. It was made just for you with the materials you sent and the time you were waiting. No one else in the history of called people has gone through the exact same set of events that you did on your way to this change. And what's coming has the exact shape of that next sequence. A certain practice is used for the last bit of the wait away to pass the time. Before the surprise that respects what has been gathered and gets the receiver ready. It's yours in a way that nothing else built could be. For it. The first part of the practice is to say out loud the exact thing you have been waiting for every morning until the time is up. Not to ask, but to recognize what has been built and what is on the way. The difference between those two ways of thinking is between waiting and getting something. Waiting faces the lack, receiving turns to face the visitor. Speaking it out loud while in the receiving position trains the receiver to be where it needs to be when the arrival comes. The second part is how to use the tool every day starting today. not as a fix for something that's wrong with you, but as a way to get ready for the kind of arrival that needs a fully synchronized receiver. You can find the link in the text below. Use it in the morning before the day brings the things that will keep you busy that the waiting time has been dealing with. Make being in sync the first thing you do in the morning, not the last thing you do at night. The third part is a choice about your face. It's not about how you should look, but what you should let your face do with how you feel. Before I give you the third part, I want to say a few words about the morning habit of saying out loud what you are waiting for. Because the chosen one who has been waiting for a long time often grows a strong dislike for this practice if someone says I have named it before. I have spoken it and believed it and held on to it, and speaking it didn't make it arrive faster. Why would speaking it again produce a different result? The answer is that speaking it with an attitude of receiving is different from speaking it with an attitude of waiting. In this case, the receiver goes from being defensive like someone protecting a hope against disappointment to being open, like someone whose hands are out instead. Your nervous system reacts in a different way when you change your attitude from waiting, which is focused on the absence, to receiving, which is focused on the arrival. The folded. That change isn't just a figure of speech. It changes the state of your brain in a way that can be measured. It's one of the specific things that Dr. Barron built into the daily practice, being aware that orientation comes before reception. Many people who have to wait a long time have learned to keep their face in check and not show how hopeful they are, because showing how hopeful they are has hurt them. The body has to be ready for the arrival before it makes its way. In the past, you give your face permission to start showing the change instead of the waiting, not as a performance, but as lining up what's on the outside with what's already. Permission is the third practice. True on the inside about the time. Type face about to change in the comments if this word is coming up for you at this very moment. If any of the three signs I listed are present in your life. If the long waiter, the face about to change, or the surprise received, describe where you are right now. Type it and see yourself in the comments that follow. Why is the chosen one who is nearing the end of a waiting period being gathered right now? It's not by accident. Getting together is part of the change. Before I end this message, I want to say one more thing that is more specific than everything else I've said during the quiet. No one forgot about you. It's more important that you hear those exact words than the general idea behind them. It's not like God was far away watching. It's not like the promise was put away somewhere to be used. When the time was right, we didn't forget about you. The quiet preparation that has been going on wasn't impersonal preparation. It was preparation for me. Every single hard part of your waiting time, every single deposit that was made in you by keeping the promise and being quiet, was planned, known, and right for you. The surprise you are about to receive isn't just a nice thing to do. It's a very clear delivery. It was made by someone who knows exactly what your face looks like after a long wait and made what's coming to change that expression. Please wait a little longer. What's almost done is worth the time you spent waiting for it. The people you love will be the first to notice that your face has changed. You are about to enter your divine future. But remember, this breakthrough is not for you alone. Your testimony is the bridge someone else will use to reach their own miracle. Archangel Michael is inviting you to visit community through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. By joining our like-minded community, you are no longer praying in isolation. You are adding your voice to a global sanctuary where we discuss the Word daily and stand in the gap for one another. When Jesus says, "Give and heaven will open over you," on this platform, every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and this is not poetry. Hedge of safety for your family. Now is your time. Step into our community prayer wall. Share your heart. And as you give, watch God multiply what you let go of. Let's finish this journey together. Visit Out Community now. Join the family and see your heavens open. Before we get to the end of this powerful story, let's reflect on this deep truth. Snorts, you did not find this message by accident. This is a divine appointment meant specifically for you. You are being invited into a protected faith-filled community at the link in the description and pinned comment. A place where divine abundance is not just a hope, but a promise built on the Word. By heading to the site right now, you are unlocking access to a sacred community of like-minded believers. When you join our membership tiers, you gain immediate entry to powerful content, daily devotions, and divine insights that are hidden from the world. This is your chance to enter a sanctuary where you will receive spiritual guidance, unwavering support on our prayer wall, and speedy progress toward your destiny. Do not let this moment of destiny pass you by. Your breakthrough is waiting. Join our inner circle through the exclusive link in the description. This is how you guarantee you never miss the personalized messages and spiritual warfare tools meant to elevate your life. If you feel called to deepen your connection, the link is waiting for you in both the pinned comment and the description. For those who want to amplify this work and carry the light home, you can find our guided ebooks and Bibles in the pinned comment. Whether you join as a member or sow a seed, through our resources, your presence and energy change the world. Take the step. Your abundance awaits.